There's no elevator in life. You've got to take the stairs. When I opened up my first home security business in 2005, I ran it from a 100 square foot office that was also my bedroom. The room, aka my office, was so small that two people couldn't stand shoulder to shoulder across it. All I had was a tile board from Home Depot that I got for $25, a black magic marker, and a scruffed up secondhand table and chair. I didn't have a fax machine, a computer, or much of anything else. I hung the tile board in the hallway and used it to schedule the installs as we booked them. I spent hours standing in that hall working on the tile board and getting annoyed with Liz every time she needed to shimmy by me to go to the bathroom. My business partner then, who is still with me today, was Kevin Klink. I love the guy. Our business was growing, but it was slow. Almost every week, I would drive to our customers to pick up signed contracts for the alarm systems my installers were putting in. Then I would mail them right away to fund payroll. Every month, it was the same routine. I'd pull up to whatever address was next on my clipboard. I'd flag down my guy and double-check that the information was complete so we didn't have any issues processing payments. Anything missing could cause payment delays. Once I'd collected enough signed contracts to meet payroll, I'd head to the nearest post office and mail them in. I was working for Verizon as a sales guy too, all the while growing this home security business on the side from my home. We were making progress, but it was a slow climb. Life was nuts. Most people would have quit. Building $2 million businesses and $1 billion business teaches you the importance of small wins. I didn't wake up one morning and have these thriving businesses. I did, however, go to sleep night after night, counting my small wins, hoping they would pay off big. Some days you're making progress, but it's so small you barely notice. Back then, our business was growing slowly, but with integrity. At first, I ran all the flyer appointments. Then it grew to a team, and we went door to door to hang flyers, which I got made at a 5-cent photocopy place. They were crappy, but it was all I could afford, and they got the job done. If we stopped by your place, you would come home after work around 5 to find a door hanger that said, "Free alarm system with installation and your choice of Craftsman garage door opener installed," or a $150 gift card to Home Depot. Monitoring is $1 a day. Call for details. You'd call, and I'd answer. "Yeah, you want that garage door opener? Great. We're going to get you the alarm system and the garage door. I'll come out and meet you. It's $1 a day for the monitoring. Installation is free. How about I come and see you this afternoon? I'll be there at 6. This was a good way to build sales, which is a good way to build a business. Why? Because the customer was getting a product that the owner was selling. It was integrity driven. Kevin and I wanted to scale faster. We put more flyers out. We got more calls. Since you can only put out so many flyers and take so many calls, we started looking for people to knock on doors. Our plan was simple. Hire sales managers and have them ride with me so I could train them on how to knock doors. Then the sales manager would train the new hires. Simple. In those early slow growth days, since my bedroom was my office, we would meet our potential hires at our local Chili's restaurant. They would ask where our office was, and I'd say, "We don't have one, but you've got to trust me." This sharpened my skills to be able to sell someone the dream of what I envisioned for the company. Without an office, without real flyers, without business cards or even a computer, I had to sell the pieced together business like it was the most solid business ever. At the beginning, I sold accounts and scheduled the installs. Sometimes I even delivered the equipment, thanked the customer in person, and shook their hands. Those are the steps you have to take when you're building your business. There is no elevator. You must grind it out. We scaled with van teams, and eventually, Kevin and I thought we were going to be okay. I still couldn't leave my job at Verizon, but we were almost there. We eventually grew enough to get a small office and hire more people. 6 months later, we got a bigger office. Then after an even bigger office. It was one step at a time. Take the steps one by one. Get to the next level each time, becoming more professional, improving the operation, scaling, and getting better. Then more staff and computers, branding, even a marketing wrap on your car. When I started my first business in that 100 square foot room, I was taking it one stair at a time. I kept on climbing up the stairs, even if I stumbled backwards at times. No shortcuts. You don't open a company one day and spend $1 million to get it off the ground. Not at the beginning. You just take it day by day. Do the work. And then one day, you get there. We started from a tile board and we grew it step by step to $13 million. Be careful who you hire. It is important. I don't gloss over a critical point here. Let me be candid. In all this growth, we stumbled a couple of times. To be honest, we got greedy. You can't blame us. It's human nature. Everyone wants the quick fix diet, to win the lottery, or to learn the secret sales hack that brings leads in faster. Kevin and I were no different. It was around this time that there was no elevator in life. You've got to take the stairs principle started to take form. Rather than developing our own sales team, van teams, and promotion teams, we took a shortcut, ignoring best practices for hiring personnel. We hired what's called a summer program. These were teams of seasonal transient salespeople, I call them locusts now, who travel from city to city selling home security during the summer months. We hired a bunch of these guys to sell for us. Our business will explode, Kevin and I kept saying to each other. We paid these guys top dollar. Their ads said they had worked for some big name brands. So we thought bringing them to the Carolinas to sell for us is what we needed. Bring them in and business will boom. Our dumbass plan didn't work because they had been trained by 4 other companies. They didn't eat, sleep, and bleed our brand. In fact, they didn't care about it at all. Their sales results were garbage and we paid them way too much for it. We even paid for their apartments so they had nice places to stay. They trashed them. Our profit margin shrunk, and they tainted our name in the process. There were good reasons those guys bounced around and didn't have full-time jobs. We realized this too late, and it hurt. Have you ever seen a farmer's field that has been hit by locusts? The shorthorn grasshoppers decimated. Unsated, the locusts move on to the next field to consume, always leaving destruction in their wake. If you've hired someone who's only there for the money, you have the wrong employee. The worst part is that we had a plan to develop and train our own salespeople, but we put it aside to get to success faster using those locusts. Making that choice was stepping away from the goal, away from the journey, away from the map. We got off the stairs that we'd steadily climbed step by step. The elevator looked fancy, faster, and easier. We didn't get far. Eventually, we went back to square one and had to build back after the mess those locusts left us in. If you cheat the system, rush the process, or otherwise try to progress faster, it'll never work. Sure, you might snag short-term wins, but you'll miss out on the skills you need to develop. This approach is about integrity and the value of putting in the work. There's value to following a tried and true process in life, even if the results are slow. It's normal to be tempted to rush, but there is a step-by-step process to everything you do. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. Stick to the stairs. Incremental progress is everything. What if you got 1% better each day? Would that be hard? Probably not. Would you notice a difference? Probably not. Fast forward 1 year, 365 days later, and you would see a 365% improvement. Unfortunately, there's no way to fast forward through those increments. We must trust the process. Building anything that's worthwhile takes time. It might be building a business, getting a college degree, or raising a human until they are self-sufficient. Like watching the grass grow, it might seem like today is no different than yesterday, but it is. You've learned something or you've moved a little closer every single day. Remember the tortoise and the hare story from when you were a kid? The hare makes fun of the tortoise for being too slow. Do you ever get anywhere? The hare asks the tortoise. But then the two of them race and the tortoise wins. Slow and steady wins the damn race, right? People tend to forget this basic rule. We want what we want, and we want it now. The there's no elevator in life, you've got to take the stairs principle is about not skipping any steps, like we did when we thought we could fast track our sales process. It is about taking complete actions even when you're experiencing slow incremental progress. Don't look for a quick way to achieve an outcome through half-ass shortcuts. That's cheating, and it won't get you very far. Sometimes, as we learned, it can set you back quite a bit. Sometimes skipping steps like quitting way too early. Oh, I'm not making any money yet, I'm going to quit. Entrepreneurs will sometimes say to me. Impatience takes people out. They try to take the elevator. They try to achieve what they want faster with a quick fix solution, or quit when they're making progress because they aren't celebrating the little wins. If you're a little further than you were last week, it's not time to give up. I launched my first business from my bedroom. In 2002, when I was young, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I filed bankruptcy. I worked with no paycheck for a span of almost 2 years when I built Power Home Solar. The money I did make, I put back into the business. I've overcome lawsuits. I've dealt with employee theft. My current business has had to overcome tax credits that vanished in certain states. There was no get-rich scheme or magic formula. I took the stairs. Today, I run a billion-dollar business, which qualifies me to be a business judge on a Bloomberg business show, 2-Minute Drill, where I give advice to newbie entrepreneurs. I've had a lot of good experience and plenty of bad ones too. I'm an expert and I give advice today. But you know what? I'm still climbing the stairs. They never end. The little wins add up through sometimes you barely notice them. Look closely. Zoom into your now moment and track your micrometrics to motivate yourself to keep going. Don't let the way you feel dictate what you do. You will get there. Take the steps one at a time and don't be greedy. The elevator might be faster in the short term, but in the long term, you'll just screw yourself out of success. When I started Power Home, I doubled down on there's no elevator in life, you've got to take the stairs principle. I even replicated the alarm business startup process. I went out and bought a tile board and used manila folders to schedule the solar installs. I remember we even grew to 2 tile boards, and then we started using a solar panel as our board. I did everything. I called customers, I wrote up proposals, I closed deals, I took measurements, you name it. As a result, I know the company's business inside and out. I know everyone's job. I could step into anyone's role and do the job. That is taking the stairs. When I motivate our sales guys today, I've been where they are. The there's no elevator in life, you've got to take the stairs principle has also helped me get through the tough times. It's been a principle that anyone can use to be resilient. When it feels like I'm going backward, if I have evidence that I'm not, however small, it gives me hope and I keep moving forward. Sometimes you need to pause on the stairs. Sometimes you need to take 1 or 2 steps back. That's okay too. Failure happens. So you pause or step back, and then you reorient yourself and step forward again. I full-on tripped and crashed down the stairs like a stuntman on fire and got up and said, that was a bad fall. As long as you're not stagnating or going backwards for too long, it's okay. If you're making progress day by day, you're good. The there's no elevator in life, you've got to take the stairs principle reminds you to be patient and keep moving forward bit by bit. Don't get ahead of yourself like the hare. Be the tortoise. Choose slow and steady. There's value in the process. Quick wins are emotional short-term fixes. When I was 19, I landed a job at First Union. 8 months in, on what was otherwise a typical day in the office, my boss, John McKinley, invited me to his office for some straight talk. Jayson, do you or don't you have a college degree? John had caught me. I had lied to the human resources recruiter to get the job. I faked my resume. I took the elevator, not the stairs. You see, to apply for a job at First Union Bank, applicants have to have a 2-year degree. I didn't have one, but I knew I could sell. So I pimped out my resume. I felt high and mighty the day I typed sales management degree, UNC Charlotte, under the education section. I'm a genius. This will totally work. And my plan did work, at least at first. First Union hired me as one of their sales associates. My job was to call customers and upsell them to savings accounts. I spent time on the phone, which I was good at. I'm a talker. People who know me best know this is one of the reasons I'm great at sales. I see you've got $10,000 in your savings account, I'd say. What if we move this to a money market account? You get 3 to 5% interest on your money, and we'll waive all the fees. I was young and hungry. I was blowing the other sales reps out of the water. My sales skills were next level. Admittedly, I had a bit of an ego about it too. I'd faked my resume and it had worked. No one knew the truth. And now, there I was crushing it. I figured the lie was behind me. Then one day, like any other, the HR manager pulled me into her office for a chat. We called UNC Charlotte and they said they couldn't find your degree, she said. Oh no, they caught me. Shit, think fast, man. You can come up with an excuse. You're a sales rock star. Did you look under William, I asked? William is my first name. It was a quick recovery. No, we looked under Jayson. Oh, you see, that's the problem. It's under William. Safe. Bam. Close one. Again, I thought it was behind me. It wasn't. By the time I was the number one sales guy, what were they going to do? Fire me? I was winning them awards. They gave me a plaque by week 2. The top loan officer for Wachovia took me golfing. I broke records, so I kept going. But my fake-ass resume situation wasn't over. This is when John got involved. I came clean that day. I couldn't lie to John. Why would you lie? He asked me. You guys wouldn't have hired me if I didn't, I said. And you wouldn't be the number one sales manager right now if I wasn't on your team. Luckily, I got to keep the job. And while this might seem like a victory story in which I took the elevator where I cheated the system and won, it wasn't. It was a short-term victory. It always is when you don't take the stairs. My underdoing as a sales guy in that job was because I didn't learn the step-by-step process. Yes, I had the passion. Yes, I was a great sales guy. But eventually, I fell behind. I didn't have the experience, background, and knowledge that the other associates did. And I had a smudge on my name at First Union because I'd falsified my application. Taking the elevator can lead to short-term wins, but with that comes long-term setback and struggles. This is true of any process. While a strict diet helps a person lose weight fast, they'll likely put the weight back on or gain more because of the stress they put on their body. Anyone who sells themselves well on a resume like I did will suffer because they don't have the hard skills they need to do the job. And how many couples move in, get married, or have kids without going through the time, process, and work it takes to make sure they're committed to that type of life? They just don't think the other person is hot. It's never smart to take the elevator. Take the stairs. Incremental progress is key. Micro-focus and use metrics over feelings. In 2020, I sat down for a podcast interview with Jim McKelvey, who is one of the world's top business innovators and the author of the book, The Innovation Stack, Building an Unbeatable Business One Crazy Idea at a Time. Now, whether you've read his book or recognize the name, I guarantee you've used his product. McKelvey and his business partner, Jack Dorsey, who is the co-founder of Twitter, invented the Square Card Reader. If you've purchased an item from a small business owner and swiped your card on a mini white square at the checkout, you've used their invention. McKelvey came up with the idea because he lost a sale when he couldn't accept American Express cards in 2009. Frustrated by the challenge of accepting credit card payments along with the high cost, he teamed up with Jack Dorsey and together they launched Square. The problem they would solve revolved around the fact that major credit card companies were profiting off small businesses at a rate 45 times higher than big billion-dollar corporations. McKelvey knew this problem was a big issue for a lot of people. It's a great reason to start a company. This innovative startup enabled small businesses to accept credit card payments on their mobile phones. Square's innovative solution transformed the payments marketplace. The company surpassed $1 billion in subscription revenue in 2019. They got there one stair at a time. McKelvey and Dorsey had a big dream, but a micro focus. To build the Square card reader, they started at zero with just an idea. They invented a new product by solving a chain of problems. It is a process McKelvey called the innovation stack method, which is a powerful concept for startups, based on the idea that companies should stack interlinking innovation as part of their infrastructure because doing so makes them more likely to succeed than startups that don't stack. If you try to do something new, you will encounter a series of new problems, McKelvey told me. The solution to one problem leads to another problem, sometimes several. The problem-solution problem chain repeats until you end up with a collection of both independent and interlocking inventions, or you fail. Think of the Wright brothers' invention of the airplane. It's a great example McKelvey uses in his book. First, they had to figure out how to get a giant machine to lift off and fly. Then, once it was in the air, they had a new problem. How do you steer? They had to figure that out too. And they had to start by being willing to not know what they were doing was going to play out. McKelvey's journey to invent the Square card reader is like what you want to do when you take the stairs. You have a big dream, which is someplace you want to go in life. But to get there, you must start from where you're at. So you take the first step and then the next. That's it. It's all about micro-focus and tracking your metrics each step of the way to monitor your progress. The question to ask is, am I improving here? The best way to prove it out yourself is to measure your progress and track the metrics. Don't pay too much attention to your feelings if you're positively moving in the right direction. Remember, if you look too far ahead, it's easy to get impatient. Don't focus on what you don't have. Let's say you're building a business. You might have moments where you're frustrated because you're not as successful as you'd like to be. It's easy to get caught up in outcomes you failed to achieve and feel like a loser. If you think it's going to take forever until you do $5 million in sales, that attitude won't get you far. You might have setbacks, but if you look at your small wins and your progress over the last few months, if you're trending up, it's easy to assess whether you're making headway or not. If you take the longer view, you can see the curve of improvement. Up close, it'll look like you're up 1 month and down the next. Over time, you can map the data points and see the incremental progress. At Power Home Solar, 2020 was a record-breaking year. But in November, our revenue took a nosedive. It was bad. I questioned the leadership team on why this happened. It's election month, they told me. They also said because of COVID-19 and Thanksgiving. My argument was that we knew it was an election month. We knew Thanksgiving was here. We knew about COVID-19. We have to do better in December, I told them. Compared to the other months, this month was an outlier. It's okay to take a step backward on the stairs. Setbacks happen. It's not always forward progress every single time. Taking the stairs also means when you get knocked down, you get back up and keep going. So to know if you're on the right path, you look at a 3-month pattern and consider the small wins. And when you do this, you always focus on the metrics, not the feelings. Anything you can physically measure or count is a metric. Dollars and cents in a bank account, numbers on a scale if you're tracking weight. The number of kisses your wife gives you might tell you how satisfied she is with your relationship. All of these are tangible metrics. They aren't how you feel. They are known quantities. You must focus on the facts, not the stories in your head, to know whether you're making progress. I see it all the time among entrepreneurs, people in relationships, even my sales reps. They say, I'm not seeing the results fast enough, and they quit way too soon because they feel like shit. We all have bad months, bad weeks, bad days. It happens. Nothing is ever a smooth climb. The plan is to strive for perfection, but don't get caught up in one massive metric you're trying to get to. It's not going to happen overnight. If you're trying to lose 50 pounds, it's not smart to focus on that number if it's only week 1 of a new regimen. Instead, focus on losing 2 pounds week by week. Slow gains matter. If you're on an upward trajectory with your progress, you take the step. When you're accomplishing anything, treat it like a game. Let's say it's football. There are 4 quarters in a year of business, and the same is true in a football game. If you are down after 2 quarters, but you score enough points in the last 2 quarters of the game, then you win. Look at the situation positively and track the metrics. That's how you're going to progress. That's taking the stairs. I've had bad months, I've had bad quarters, and I've had bad years. But I've never had a year go backward. Always ask, what is this moment? If I'm in December, I'm focused on December. November is behind me. My eyes are forward for a reason. I'm not looking at November. If it was a bad month, screw November. That shit's behind me. Today, I'm focused on December. And then you grade your 4th quarter. How did you do? And if you failed to reach your target in the 4 quarters, damn it, then you look at January to have a good month so you can set up to have a good first quarter and win. Don't let a bad day, week, or month control you. Every now and then you're going to get a loss. But if you have more wins than losses, you're making progress. You're climbing the staircase. It's okay to slow down. You have time. Be patient. When you take the stairs, there's an amortization effect. Success gets easier and faster because you've put in the work, time, and effort. You don't get that when you use a quick fix in anything. Trust the process. Keep walking up the stairs. The moment you cheat, you get off your path, your vision, your map, and you're done. Are you AGB? AGB is an acronym I live by, and it stands for Always Getting Better. It's one tenet I live by to remind myself to grow each day. Remember it, AGB. I have a rule in relationships. If the good days outnumber the bad, we're good. When the bad days outnumber the good, we need to talk. The rule applies to all the areas of life. If there are more wins than losses, you keep going and focus on the wins. Develop ways to track your business growth. Don't dwell on the losses. Keep stepping. You'll get there. One stair at a time, AGB. Always getting better is a simple way to remember to take the stairs, not the elevator. The world is changing so much that if you don't keep getting better or staying relevant, you become irrelevant. One of the biggest problems with not taking the steps is that you put yourself in a position where you are held hostage. We'll talk about how to avoid that next.